500 people in dire straits after landslide disaster in Morobe. MP and Parliament Clerk win court challenges. And draft natural gas policy paper gets cabinet approval.
This is National MTV News with Morobe Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Thursday's news. More than 500 people in the Pindiu area in Morobe province are in need of urgent food supplies after a series of landslides destroyed food gardens and water sources. Ward Councillor Mel Gibbs Tiwang made a two-day journey to reach Leh to pass on information and pictures to the Provincial Disaster Office. He said the officers from the Finchafen District Administration were not in town to attend to his community's concerns.
More than 500 people in the Ward 12 area of Ube LLG in the Finchafen district are without adequate food and water after continuous rains caused landslips that destroyed their gardens. These pictures taken on a mobile phone are 2 weeks old, but because of the isolation of the villagers, it took the councillor 2 days to get from Pindiu to Finchafen, then onwards to Leh to give a report to the Provincial Disaster and Emergency Service.
Big blow bagrap. All landslide them, come up on ground nothing know them inside ogra garden straight them landslide them come up.
Het program big club well through. Ground brook na bagrap most them place and bagrap na stop.
Pindiu is in an isolated part of the Finchafen district. There have been 15 separate landslips in the area. And while none of the people in the 4 villages have been severely injured or killed, all their food gardens and cash crops have been destroyed.
Close to long, 500 plus, Mary, and affected this landslide.
As the rains continue, community leaders say the situation is getting desperate for the people. So far, there's been little response from members of the district administration who are reportedly in Port Moresby for a meeting. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Leh.
4 people have been killed in what has been described as the worst road accident at Boira village in the Kairukuhiri district. A pastor, his wife and 30-year-old son are among the 4 who were confirmed dead yesterday. The family was travelling with other passengers to Boira for a church program when the PMV crashed into the side of a hill. Villagers say the 3 had jumped out of the PMV and sustained very serious injuries. All 4 were pronounced dead on arrival at the Port Moresby General Hospital. Their bodies are now at the hospital morgue. Other passengers also suffered serious injuries and are recovering at the Gerhu Clinic. Police are yet to arrest the driver of the PMV, who is now on the run. Sam Akoitai has been officially sworn in as the member for Central Bougainville. Mr. Akoitai was declared by the National Court after petitioning against the election of Father Simon Dumarino. The swearing-in ceremony was carried out by Speaker of Parliament, Job Pomat, this morning.
Almost a week after the National Court declared the unseating of Father Simon Dumarino, petitioner Sam Akoitai was officially sworn in as a member of Parliament.
I, realizing fully the responsibilities to which I am committing myself. Congratulations, member. Now you can serve him people of Yumi, Long Central Bougainville, now Papua New Guinea one time.
Akoitai had petitioned the Electoral Commission for a recount of the Central Bougainville seat votes. At the recount, Akoitai won by 4 votes with 7,257, while Father Dumarino had 7,253 votes. His victory makes him the first petitioner to be declared a winner in the 2017 national election petition cases that are before the courts.
I was actually pleased with the result of the election proceedings, the court decision that was handed down. Basically proves the allegations that based on which I took the election petition upon.
Mr. Akoitai is no stranger to politics. He bowed out 10 years ago but says his return is timely as Bougainville prepares for autonomy. The Central Bougainville MP says he is prepared to work with the other leaders of Bougainville.
I want to make sure that we have that bipartisan approach. Members of Bougainville we have one issue, and that is to address what is in the Bombay Peace Agreement.
MP Akotai will return to the floor of Parliament when the May session begins. Jacob Harvard Jr., National MTV News.
After 4 years of being suspended and in court, Clerk of Parliament Vela Conivaro has resumed duties. Speaker of Parliament Job Pomat officially welcomed Mr. Conivaro and also brushed aside reports of confusion between workers of Parliament. Mr. Conivaro's resumption follows a national court order on the 13th of April, which reinstated him as Clerk of Parliament.
Parliament staff gathered this morning at the State Function Room to witness the official handover and resumption of duty for Mr. Vele Conivaro as Clerk of the National Parliament. Following the court decision, Speaker Job Pomat says Mr. Conivaro will take office.
Ogata work money hamamas, lo work now underneath long leadership long also clerk na me also speaker, deputy clerk na larp la work money staff so normal work lo Parliament by Golsem.
The Speaker also clarified reports of confusion among staff of Parliament as reported in the media. He says the court has spoken and his office will uphold the decision.
Court me working decision na reinstate him back Mr. Conivaro also clerk lo Parliament.
Mr. Conivaro was suspended in 2013 following a list of allegations leveled against him. After more than 3 years in court, Chief Justice Salamo Injia handed down the decision last Friday. The clerk says he is now prepared to take office.
I, as the clerk, as the bureaucratic head, am duty-bound to support the Speaker in his call, in his roles and responsibility to ensure the Parliament performs its rightful role as the legislature. The integrity of Parliament, both in chamber and administration, is of foremost importance.
The reinstatement of Mr. Conivaro will see acting clerk Kala Alpha return to his full-time position as deputy clerk. Jacob Harvard Jr., National MTV News.
A draft natural gas policy white paper has been approved by the National Executive Council. This was announced by Petroleum Minister Fabian Pock. The policy is intended to guide development and management of the country's growing oil and gas industry, whilst at the same time derive more benefits at the domestic sector. The approval of the draft natural gas policy white paper was announced by Petroleum Minister Fabian Pock. Minister Pock said the development of the natural gas industry in Papua New Guinea has brought with it new challenges, especially around how government could manage fast-growing gas developments. Among challenges are relevant policies, legal and institutional frameworks for this growing sector. According to Minister Pock, the implementation of these policies will align with the PNG National Development Strategy 2030 and the PNG Vision 2050, in addition to other sectoral and cross-sectoral policies. In approving the draft policy, NEC has also directed that the process of developing domestic market obligation, third-party access and local content begin immediately. With several new gas projects on the horizon, Minister Pock has reaffirmed the government's position in that all new gas projects will be negotiated under the terms provided for in the new policy. This includes negotiations for the Pinyang project. He has emphasized that this is the first step in the important process to reform PNG's natural gas policies as it sets out the PNG government's visions and plans for implementing the necessary policies and legislative framework to match international best practice and in order to support PNG's economic development and prosperity. Here with National MTV News, we go for a break now. Among stories after the break, new approach by church leaders in their ministry, WASH policy extended to schools, and Indian Association gives to charity. Stay tuned for the details. Welcome back to the news. The United Church of Papua New Guinea is taking a new approach in their ministry. Bishops and regional secretaries of PNG have collectively gathered in Port Moresby for the Leaders' Mission Consultation. After celebrating 50 years of service in the country, the United Church is looking at more strategic ways to help individuals renew their faith.
Celebrating their Golden Jubilee earlier this year, the United Church of PNG has made a deliberate decision to widen their scope of mission to respond to social issues.
The last 50 years, the United Church has basically been concentrating on spiritual and evangelistic work. But community has changed, society has changed, needs have changed, and so our church leaders have made a deliberate decision that we will widen our scope of mission to include responding to social issues, teenage pregnancy, drugs, domestic violence, sorcery-related violence, and all other forms of social issues that our country faces. So,
the action plans are currently being made at the Leaders Mission Consultation 2018 for the next 50 years. These meetings, which started on Monday, end today. Leaders Mission Consultation organizer Bianco Buya explained that it is important to have some understanding of what the leadership wants the church to look like by 2068.
The consultation of our leaders is first of all asking questions like how far have we come, where have we not done well, and where have we done well, what are the changes that have happened in community, in society, and therefore what can we become, what do we want to become the next 50 years, what kinds of services, what kind of ministry programs should we now be looking at the next 50 years.
During the 4 days, they have had government officials from both PNG and Australia educate the leaders about church partnership and how the government can support their activities. The Australian government's Church Partnership Program has supported a range of churches since 2004.
The discussion is for our leaders to know that mission for the next 50 years is not going to be a one-man activity. It's going to require very special strategic partnerships. And based on the history of Papua New Guinea, the government of Australia has been a very important partner.
UCPNG now has a disaster response ministry and is looking at working alongside individuals to assist and impact lives to further the kingdom of God. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
Bomana Primary School is one of 6 pilot schools for the Water, Sanitation and Hygiene program. Yesterday, 5 wheelie bins were distributed to maintain the cleanliness of the school. Anglicare PNG has undertaken this pilot program in 6 schools since January this year.
With more than 1,200 students attending Bomana Primary School, the WASH program has become an essential part of their lives. With Anglicare PNG initiating the implementation of the WASH program, Bomana Primary has already seen tremendous change.
But I think I have been coming in and out of the school and I've seen the rubbish has been reduced. So I want to encourage students to maintain that.
As part of promoting water, sanitation and hygiene, the organization has purchased wheelie bins to distribute to the schools to strengthen cleanliness.
Of many programs that we do, one of the things is to give you the wheelie bins to make sure that your place is kept clean.
Department of Education representative Peter Kentz challenged the students of Bomana Primary School to take care of the gifts.
If you maintain it, we will come back. I'm telling you that, I'm deliberately telling you that I will make things happen for you, only if you look after them.
UNICEF representative Pravin More assured the students and staff that his organization will be working very closely with the school to see the success of the WASH program.
There is going to be some infrastructure added to the school. Some things have already been done in the school. I was told, we saw the very nice presentation this morning. And I could see that lots of improvements have already been done and you are taking good care of all that.
More challenged the students to be the change they want to see.
So if you want to see any change, that this thing should change, that thing should change, the change has to begin from us. If I do not change, I don't get to see the change.
In addition, the Correctional Service Commissioner, Michael Waipo, although he couldn't come in person, gifted the school with a rubber hose. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National, MTV News.
Schools are not getting support from the national and provincial governments. That's from the Morobe's Provincial Program Advisor for Education, Keith Jiram. He said this after 6 classrooms at the Huonville Primary School in Leh were condemned for not being structurally safe. The school was closed for an indefinite period and more than 1,800 students forced to stay home.
The Working Committee of Huonville Primary School has appealed to schools in Morobe, especially in Leh District, to contribute to help build new classrooms for Huonville Primary School. The committee will open a new separate bank account for schools and the public to donate funds to help begin construction. The committee member and Provincial Program Advisor for Education, Keith Jiram, said the government failed to support schools with maintaining facilities and building new ones.
Successive leaders, year after year, have not given enough attention to school facilities. Yet policy after policies, changes after changes, but not even a concentration given to the existing facilities.
Huonville Primary School was ordered to shut down by the PNG Fire Service, the Health Department and the Building Board from Leh Urban Local Level Government after an inspection. 6 buildings accommodated 24 classes of grades 3 to 8 were condemned. More than 1,800 students have been forced out of class. The school administration says it can't do much because it has not received any maintenance funding since 2013.
Let's cut off the middleman and let's get the infrastructure component back to the schools. If they are worried about accountability, we will be prosecuted if we don't account for those money. So I don't see any reason why it should go through another person again to come back to the school. It's kind of a duplication process and it complicates the situation. Right now, we are blaming the DDA now. And then on Monday, we were briefed again. Like I said, 2013 until that time on Monday, it's still the same answer. They haven't received the 30% that is the government's promise to them.
The primary school has in place a redevelopment plan that is with the National Planning for approval. The plan includes 4 buildings of 8 classes each. They consist 5.2 million kina. The school board, administration and the education division are calling on the national government to look into the matter and act quickly so students can resume classes.
And I'm sure that TFF, the people who works with the TFF in Port Moresby, if they listen to me, they have to meet with treasury people and make sure money goes into TFF and get the money out to not only Morobe schools and Huonville, but to all the schools in Papua New Guinea. They need money desperately to run schools in Tem2.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Leh.
The India Association of PNG and Goodman Fielder assisted 4 charitable organizations yesterday with a total of 2 tons of scale rice. Each charity will receive half a ton. The association fosters friendship between PNG and the Indian community by raising funds for charitable activities. In the last 5 years, they have donated over 1 million kina to various charities in the country.
Child Care, Sisters of Charity, PNG Children Foundation and Cheshire Disability Services PNG were grateful recipients of 2 tons of scale rice yesterday.
In conjunction with GFI Goodman Fielders who have come on board, and we are donating 2 tons of rice to all the charitable organizations, like half a ton each.
It was an initiative of the India Association of PNG in conjunction with Goodman Fielders. This year alone, IAPNG has given over 100,000 kina worth of donations to various charitable organizations. IAPNG President Omprakash Sesajri also donates to charity on a regular basis. He places importance in being with community and working with the community.
I was in Papua New Guinea, and especially knowing about Cheshire Home, I'm as an individual, I come over here, I donate stuff on a regular month-to-month basis.
PNG Child Foundation and PNG Child Care now have more than enough food to feed their children.
For us and for the 250 kids we have at the 6 Mile settlement.
In a big way, because we have been feeding our kids has been a problem to us for a period of time, and this bag of rice will help us in a big way to feed the kids.
Cheshire Disability Services PNG appreciates the support that they receive from PNG and international friends.
Cheshire cannot afford to support all their needs, and that's why partners like Goodman Fielders and partnership with the Indian Association have done the right thing by giving a hand in terms of helping how they live here, because rice is something that people eat almost every day, and with the donation of the rice, obviously you could see from the residents themselves that they are happy that at least they will have some food on the table.
Goodman Fielders were more than happy to give to a worthy cause.
Long tradition of supporting charitable organisations and worthy causes in this country, and we're very proud to support the Indian Association in their donation of what is clearly the best medium grain rice available in Papua New Guinea, 2 tonnes of skull rice to 4 worthy causes.
Lilian Soperakenea, National EMTV News.
There is more to do to improve the country's mining sector. This is according to outgoing Managing Director of the Mineral Resources Authority, Philip Sama. After 6 years at the helm of MRA, Mr. Sama's tenure came to the end on the 9th of this month. Following his departure from the top job at Mineral Resources Authority, Philip Sama thanked the government for allowing him to oversee the MRA over the last 6 years. He says since its establishment in 2007, the statutory authority has performed exceptionally well in regulating and promoting PNG's mineral sector. He is therefore confident that the government through the MRA will continue to improve its services to the industry and the people of the country. According to Mr. Sama, over the last decade, the mining industry has continued to be the single largest contributor of revenue to the national purse, contributing over 60% of revenues each year. This, he says, makes the sector all too important, and the government must continue to support the sector by creating a conducive environment whereby the industry is allowed to operate sustainably, safely, profitably and responsibly. In departing, Mr. Sama has also reminded the MRA and government to continue its focus on some key issues within the mining industry. He says these include supporting the MRA's ongoing regulatory roles by strengthening its governance, independence and resourcing, revising further the proposed amendments to the Mining Act to capture additional practical administrative improvements, reviewing and revising the Mining Safety Act 1977, strengthening the regulation of the small-scale mining alluvial gold sector, improving training, creating awareness and providing capital and appropriate technology to the alluvial miners around the country, changing the current benefit sharing arrangements via MOAs to a more project delivery model, reviewing and revising the government's equity participation in major mining projects, and the state to better organize itself to optimize its participation in the Wafi and Frida copper projects. Here with Thursday's news in stories making hot headlines overseas in return, Vanuatu gives reassurance on Chinese investment, pilot hailed a hero, and flooding in Hawaii. Stay tuned for the details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, Vanuatu's leader has reassured Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull that Chinese investment in his country is not a sign of military takeover in the future. The two have met in London on the sidelines of the Commonwealth leaders' meeting.
London seems an odd place for Mr Turnbull to meet South Pacific leaders as he worries whether China is buying influence in our region. In fact, most of the Pacific leaders are also Commonwealth heads of government, so are here for the CHOGM meeting. Mr Turnbull sat down separately with the leaders of 3 today, Fiji, the Solomons and Prime Minister Shalo Salwe of Vanuatu. Prime Minister Salwe says he discussed with Mr Turnbull claims Vanuatu might host a Chinese military base.
I want to assure the Prime Minister that Vanuatu was never dreamed to become a military base one day. It is not in our culture, it is not in our tradition.
The Prime Minister of Vanuatu has made it very clear, quite unequivocally, that the media reports about Chinese interest in establishing a military base in Vanuatu have no basis in fact.
Mr Turnbull had already said he believes a Chinese military base in Vanuatu would be a threat to the region's peace and stability. He now says he accepts the Vanuatu leaders' undertakings.
It's been revealed the woman who died after being sucked down a broken window in the Southwest Airlines flight was wearing her seatbelt. Aviation investigators have found evidence of metal fatigue in the broken engine of the 737 aircraft and are now urgently inspecting other planes in the fleet.
Aviation investigators pore over the damaged engine and shrapnel recovered from properties across Philadelphia as they zero in on a possible cause for the mid-flight disaster.
There's evidence of metal fatigue where the blade separated.
With an engine down, a hole in her plane and terrified passengers, Tammy Jo Schultz had to stay calm.
We do have the medical meet us there on the runway as well. We've got injured passengers.
Her years behind the controls of fighter jets for the US Navy, helping her safely land the crippled 737.
Pilot, I give it out to her. I mean, wow.
That lady has a nerves of steel. The crew's going to have to deal with an airplane that is no longer aerodynamic. You have a big drag system out there now because the engine is shut down.
Another man being hailed a hero, the passenger that pulled mother of two Jennifer Reardon back inside after she was sucked through a window.
Somebody saw the lady out the window, so just tried to get her back in.
A retired nurse on board carried out CPR, but Miss Reardon couldn't be saved.
It's indescribable. It's shocking. It's shocking in every way, and she will be sorely missed.
Southwest Airlines has now ordered an immediate inspection.
Hawaii has declared a state of emergency as heavy rain causes some of the worst flash flooding on the island's history. Search and rescue teams are trying to reach stranded residents, and there's more bad weather on the way.
This is the state of emergency still unfolding in Kauai, leaving the Hawaiian island with roads underwater, vehicles overturned, and homes washed away. The most severe flooding leaving some tonight still waiting for rescue. The National Guard, the Army, and the Coast Guard airlifting more than 340 people out. But even those in shelters still need help after nearly 30 inches of rain in 24 hours.
We tried not to let the kids see, but I was terrified.
The Go-Williams family on vacation from San Diego was trapped until famed surfer Laird Hamilton came to their rescue in a small boat.
It's hard to conceive that that much water could come from the sky, and I mean, it was like an ocean back there.
With power out and access cut off, the full extent of the damage is still unclear.
The water came through my mom's bedroom and then just kind of jettied through the house.
Tonight, a race against time to get supplies to the many still stranded as a new storm barrels in. Disaster in paradise with more trouble on the horizon.
In Australia now, police in Victoria have searched along the Great Ocean Road in the hope of finding a gun connected to a murder. Search teams have already found one firearm in the area.
Almost a year after Mohammed Yusul was fatally shot at Keysborough, the investigation has led detectives here, 165 kilometres away down the Great Ocean Road. Police have revealed that it was here on the rocks at Eastern View Beach that they discovered the murder weapon. They won't say when that discovery was made, but today detectives are continuing their search for evidence with a controlled burn of the shrubbery along the shoreline.
We need to clear the scrub to again do a second search in an attempt to locate anything that we may have missed.
22-year-old Mohammed Yusul had been playing video games in the garage of a friend's place and was only leaving when he was gunned down on May 2nd last year. Detectives believe it was a case of mistaken identity, that hitmen hired by the Comanchero bikie gang had targeted the wrong man. Today they revealed the shots were fired from a black Jeep Cherokee, and hours later on May 3rd the murder weapon was dumped here by someone driving a grey Toyota Corolla.
Even if you just think you've seen it, even if you've seen it parked on the side of the road, if you've seen it travelling down the Geelong Road, if you could contact Crime Stoppers.
Police are also appealing to the humanity of those bikie members involved in this failed hit. They're hoping one of them may feel guilty about the loss of an innocent life and come forward to detectives with vital information.
Back home now, and the Peter family, who raised concerns over a sausage factory's waste management system in Leh, now allege that a portion of the land has been taken up for development. Block owner Manasseh Peter tried to stop developments until boundaries were confirmed. However, the land was sold. On Monday, the factory was issued a notice by the Leh City Council to shut down business.
Manasseh Peter's father came to occupy this block of land in 1974. He obtained it through the Housing Corporation's self-help scheme and developed it as a requirement under the scheme. Manasseh signed a new tenancy agreement form as the next of kin in 2013 to obtain the title.
Clear amount is outstanding now. Me frame this block and me frame housing commission, so now I'm referring me all lands now and me deal with them title and me all lands.
The family was in the process of obtaining the title when a businessman brought in surveyors to survey the land portion 217. Manasseh claims that during the survey, the boundaries of portion 217 were extended over the 2 Mile Creek, claiming a portion of their land on section 86.
All land been Salem block me. With some 1/3 block, it's like section 86 here.
He tried to stop development due to the disputed land boundaries. However, the land was sold and a line of shops were built. This is where the sausage factory was built.
But time people order you go all look all just ignore him la. Order and all go ahead and walk him. Link him to portion 86 go 217.
The family has been raising concerns over this since 2014. This week the factory was shut down by the Leh City Council. Although the company has been instructed to manage its waste disposal before it can reopen, the family still has concerns that the sausage factory is not built in the right place. Lucy Kopana, National MTV News, Leh.
You're with National MTV News. We go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with football. The PNG Football Association will be staging the Under-17 National Youth Tournament for both boys and girls this year. The event is scheduled to take place during the school holidays around June the 24th.
Papua New Guinea Football Association will stage this year's Under-17 tournament with the aim of involving players at the youth level every year, giving the youngsters a chance to represent PNG in international championships. PNGFA, in its effort to identify and improve football talents in the country, is now reviving the youth championships and will now be held on an annual basis. Embracing the power of sport as a positive tool to influence the lives of young people and investing in youth development is one of the association's pillars. PNG Football Association competition manager Simon Koima is now calling for expression of interest of the members who wish to host the event. The event will be hosted by member associations who are successful in their bids. As part of the bidding criteria, member associations must have current youths under 17, both boys and girls, must have 2 playing fields, must have paid their annual membership fee, must have public facilities, toilets, water, etc. Secured venue for revenue raising. The application closes on the 16th of May 2018. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
Still on football, the annual PNG Football Association sanctioned event, the Besta Cup, is set to kick off in July. Again this year, the Momasa Regional Soccer Body is expected to take the lead in bringing the game to rural areas and improving it from the ward level up.
The annual Besta Soccer competition was published by PNG Football Association this year as the perfect platform to draw and promote the crop of talent available, especially from rural parts of the country, apart from the known players in the major centers. Momasa Regional Soccer Body Chairman Sigfred Basel said this was what PNGFA ought to do in order to ensure that people took ownership of the game. In living up to that, organizers and hosts of this year's Momasa leg of the Besta FA Cup have already confirmed 12 teams from Morobe Football Association right up to the plains of Ramu Sugar and all the way to Ambunti and Vanimo in the East and West Sepik provinces, while several teams like Buang, Karkar and others have yet to confirm their entrance to the annual competition. Medang Soccer Association will host the tournament at the Warden Oval from July 2nd to the 7th. The dates for the Best FA Cup Qualifying Tournament 2018 are as follows. Momasa is 2nd to the 7th July in Medang, NGI 25th to 29th July in Kimbe, Southern 28th to 23rd July in Port Moresby, Highlands 9th to 15th July Goroka. The Best FA Cup finals will be held in Leh from the 13th to 15th of September. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
To cricket now, and ICC recognized PNG umpire Alu Kappa will be leaving for Malaysia next week. He will be umpiring in a tournament that is part of the 2017 to 2022 cycle for the 2023 Cricket World Cup. This will be his second trip to Malaysia, where he will umpire matches in Division 5 for 10 days. He was previously in the country umpiring in Division 4 matches. At the moment, Alu is one of the few qualified cricket umpires in PNG, and thanks to Moniplus, though there is still a need for more. You're watching Trukai Sports. We'll be back with more after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Ministry of Community Development and Religion today presented a cheque of 10,000 kina to the PNG Bodybuilding Federation. The funds will go towards the hosting of the National Championships in Port Moresby on June the 9th. In partnership with the Department of Community Development and Religion, the PNG BBF will support the addressing of violence against women and children.
This year's National Bodybuilding Championships will be used to promote and speak out against the chronic problem of violence against women. With 12 member associations in the country, and as both men and women prepare for the Nationals, the message to carry and pass on will be to stop violence against women and children. PNG Bodybuilding Federation Secretary Elisha Kitty says the PNG Bodybuilding Federation will work with community development and religion to address the chronic problem that's affecting the country, especially the next generation.
In the fight against the chronic problem of violence against men, women and children. With our network spreading throughout the country, we believe we are in good position to fully support the Department of Community Development and Religion.
The event will be used to educate the public on domestic violence, which remains a continuing challenge in the country.
And they struggle, you know. They don't live in high-class places to represent this country. They live in settlements and blocks to struggle to go and represent this country.
And this is the first of its kind, and this is the first sponsorship that came through, which is going to put a step forward to prepare ourselves for our national championship that is coming up.
Bodybuilding as a sport is totally against any form of violence in sports, as the nature of the sport itself deals directly with the human body and the physical beauty of the human anatomy. Supporting PNG Bodybuilding Federation with 10,000 kina to host its national championships in June, Community Development and Religion Secretary Anna Solomon says bodybuilding on the day will help community development and religion address domestic violence issues affecting families and individuals.
When you think about gender-based violence, it's a major hindrance to development in Papua New Guinea. And when you think of gender-based violence, it's not only the perpetrators, those that cause that violence. One of the biggest issues are bystanders. People that watch and just let it go. They just watch.
Bodybuilding as a sport is prepared to join the fight to eradicate all forms of violence against women and children who are the most vulnerable in society. Bodybuilding has been advocating good health for citizens of the country and has pledged to do everything in its power to fight the battle. Godwin Eki, National, MTV Sports.
To netball, and the PNG Peppers lost the second match to Samoa, 52 points to 41 at the World Cup qualifiers in New Zealand. The match against tournament favourite Samoa was a tough encounter. Despite a late fight back by the Peppers, Samoa managed to hold on to their lead and remain unbeaten. Day 3 of competition saw PNG take on Tonga. The Peppers proved their worth, walking away with a 62-54 scoreline. The regional qualifiers end on Saturday with the top 2 teams to qualify to the upcoming Netball World Cup. Australia's new golden girl of the pool, Ariane Titmus, has splashed back to reality this morning, returning to school. The Year 12 student may have won 4 Commonwealth Game medals, but now it's back to school.
To be the best, there certainly isn't any time for rest. Ariane Titmus was back here training at St Peter's at 6 this morning. She completed a 5-kilometre swim alongside fellow Commonwealth Games medalists Mitch Larkin and Jack Cartwright. Then it was time for school, meeting up with her classmates for the first time since winning those 4 Games medals.
I was excited to see everyone, but it's going to be a bit strange to get back into my routine. I was thinking last night I'd been living in kind of a bubble for a month.
It's so awesome to have Arnie back. She's obviously done amazing.
But the 17-year-old isn't letting her newfound stardom detract from her studies.
She's very focused, she's grounded, but she's also driven as far as what her goals are, not just swimming-wise, but also academically.
Juggling an international swimming career and Year 12 is no easy feat, though, especially when you've got an overdue economics assignment.
Well, I have an assignment I haven't done from last term I've got to try and finish.
I honestly don't know how she does it.
Well, on top of her schoolwork, Ariane's focus is on the Pan-Pacific Championships and the Olympics, as well as those 20 school assessments she must pass to graduate high school.
And that ends Trukai Sports. We'll have the weather details for you when we come back. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Port Moresby, late thunderstorms, which will repeat tomorrow. Daru, mostly cloudy with late showers. Clouds breaking for Kerma. A passing shower expected late this evening in Alota, with a shower and thunderstorm expected tomorrow. And Popendetta, thunderstorms expected this evening with scattered rain tomorrow. To the Momasa region, scattered evening thunderstorms expected in Leh, overcast with early thunderstorms for Wau, cloudy and warm for Madang, Wewak and Vanimo, isolated late thunderstorms which will carry right through to tomorrow. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly cloudy with a late shower and a few afternoon showers expected in Lorengau, cloudy with some thunderstorms and brief showers in the morning for Kavieng. Plenty of cloud cover for Kimbe, and Rabaul, Kokopo and Buka can expect scattered thunderstorms with heavy afternoon showers expected tomorrow. And in the Highlands region, rain and cloud expected in Mount Hagen, some thunderstorms expected in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabag.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Now before we go, look at our top stories this evening. Landslides in Pindiu, Morobe have left over 500 in dire straits. Sam Makota is sworn in as MP and Parliament Clerk officially returns, and Cabinet approves draft natural gas policy. And that's a news, sport and weather for today, the 19th of April 2018. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, pleasant viewing for the rest of the evening. Good night.